Hi, my name is Luis. I'm the owner of Lucky Repairs, and I'm going to teach you how to clean your PlayStation part by part. At Lucky Repairs, we specialize in fixing anything from phones to gaming consoles, even miscellaneous things like hair clippers and speakers sometimes. I really try to fix anything that I can. It's important to clean and maintain your gaming console because once it builds up this dust, it blocks the airflow inside of it, causing it to overheat. Once a PlayStation overheats, it either shuts down or the fan starts spinning faster. That's where you get the jet engine sound from. This PlayStation right here is one of the dirtiest that I've ever worked on. It's built up a lot of dust in the fan area, which prevents air from flowing through it properly. For this PlayStation, the first step that I am doing is removing these 3 screws to pop off the bottom housing. Once the bottom housing is off, you can see some of the dust that has collected, especially in the fan area. Next, to get deeper into the PlayStation, I take off the power supply. It could be a little finicky to take this part off. You kind of have to pop it off of one side, then wiggle it out carefully. Even then, it's still connected by a wire, so before removing it completely, we have to disconnect that wire. The power supply is where you can often find roaches because this is one of the warmest parts of the PlayStation. Roaches tend to hide out inside of PlayStations because it's dark and also because of the heat. Once flipped over, the left side covers the hard drive. It actually comes right off without any screws, you just gotta slide it to the left. There's one actual screw that keeps the hard drive in place. Once that's removed, you just slide it right out. With the bottom removed, there's a lot of dust that built up inside of it, so we'll grab a paper towel with some all-purpose cleaner and give it a good wipe. Some PlayStations will have more dust buildup than others. The dust can build up easier, especially if you have pets or if you have it tucked away inside of a cabinet area. Before I can access the motherboard, there are a few cables and screws that have to be taken out. Then we can pop off the motherboard and pull it away. At this point, we can see more of the dust that has built up inside the PlayStation. I use compressed air and brushes to clean this section off along with some alcohol. Underneath the motherboard, there's even more buildup because this is where the fan blows air through. Removing this top metal piece, we can see one of the most important parts, the heatsink. This is where a thick layer of dust cakes up that you have to remove. This is the part that causes the PlayStation to choke because the airflow is blocked. To clear this up, I remove the debris with a pair of tweezers to get the bulk of it. Then use a brush to dust away the rest. Finally, I take it outside to hit it with some compressed air. Once the heatsink is removed and clean, we have direct access to the fan. This is probably one of the most time-consuming parts of the cleaning. I use a Q-tip to dust each one of the fins individually, and with this method, I have to clean both sides of the fan. If the debris is really bad, a toothbrush can help break it up. I also use a toothbrush and compressed air on other parts of the PlayStation, like the power supply. Once the bulk of the dust has been blown off outside, then we can get into the more detailed part of the cleaning. I use alcohol and a paper towel to wipe it all down. Then to reach the smaller crevices and parts, I use a Q-tip and brushes to dust it all away. Some people think it's a little excessive to clean it this deeply, but if I'm not this thorough, then you may not even tell a difference. Another very important step to maintain your console cool is to replace the thermal paste. Thermal paste helps with the transfer of heat from the APU to the heatsink. Thermal paste doesn't tend to last more than 4 to 5 years. Once it starts to age, it gets very dry and cracks. Those cracks create air pockets between the heatsink and the chip, which causes it to overheat. And you never want that, as your console could be damaged if it gets too overheated too many times. This is a perfect example of old thermal paste. As you can see, it's very dried out and has a lot of cracks. This is one of the main reasons why a PlayStation overheats. To clean the old thermal paste off, I use a Q-tip with a little bit of alcohol on it to carefully remove it. This is one of the more controversial steps of the repair, is the amount of thermal paste that one adds. I add a pea-sized amount and I've never had any issues. So once it dries out and cracks, it is very important to put a fresh coat on because this will cause your PlayStation to overheat. Now that we are done and it's put together again, we wipe the outside done and it's ready for gaming. It's always satisfying seeing the before and afters of these PlayStations. With the way the original PlayStation 4 is designed, cleaning it isn't as easy because there are a lot more layers that you have to remove to access the heatsink. They also tend to build up more dust compared to the other consoles, and that's why I tend to see a lot more PlayStation 4s at my shop than others. I've been interested in electronics since a young age. It started off with the PSP, making it open like an iPhone, or even the iPods, jailbreaking those. Those were my middle school years, and going into my high school years, that's when I actually started messing with the hardware, replacing screens, speakers, and stuff like that. Some problems that people have with their PlayStations are that it won't turn on or the fan sounds like a jet engine. Also, you can have the disk drive acting up where it won't accept or spit out the disk. I love what I do because it helps people and I get the satisfaction of fixing the problem.